students, welcome to class 6 CBSE lesson number 2 components of food part 3. So today we are going to see the test for different nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So one by one we'll see now. The first one is test for carbohydrate. So you all remember when a plant is producing food by photosynthesis, it is producing in the form of glucose and the extra food will be stored in the form of a complex carbohydrate called as starch in different parts of the plant, right? So here we are going to test whether the starch content is there in different parts of the plant. So today we are doing the test with potato and wheat flour. So how this test is done, the steps are written here. The first one is test for starch, that is test for carbohydrate. So here it is the sample, I wrote here sample. Sample means what we are going to test. That is called as food sample. So we have two samples here. We can do either of one of this test. We can use potato, or if you have the wheat flour what you are using to make chapati, we can use that also. So these two is going to prove the presence of starch content. So the first step is we are taking the food sample. The second step is 2 to 3 drops of dilute iodine solution. So you need iodine solution which is diluted. What is the meaning of diluted? To the chemical iodine, you are adding some amount of water. So that proportion you should follow. So you will be getting dilute iodine from the medical shop or the laboratories. So you have to use only 2 to 3 drops using a dropper. Then if you are getting this color change, blue, black or blackish blue, that is an indication starch content present in the food. So how to do this test? I have a piece of potato which is freshly cut. You should use freshly cut potato here. And I'm adding iodine drops here, 2 to 3 drops with the help of a dropper. I'm adding 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution. Suddenly I can make out there is color change to this area where the solution is added. So here black and blue mixed color is formed. So I can tell the starch is present in this potato. The second test is using the wheat flour. Take some wheat flour, only half tablespoon or less than that. Mix with water uniformly so that it is a mixture of flour and water. To this you are going to add iodine solution 2 to 3 drops using a dropper. Then mix it well. Just see after a minute you can see the color change. The solution is changing to blue-black color. So you can tell wheat flour also contains the starch. Now we will see tests for proteins. So proteins are very much essential for your growth. So now for doing the test for proteins, whether it is present in food, what you have to do? The first step is take the food sample to be tested. Which food sample you wanted to know whether protein is present? Take that food sample to milliliter. So if it is in the liquid form like milk, you can take directly in a test tube 2 milliliter. The quantity should be only 2 milliliter. In case if you wanted to test some solid sample like groundnut or any other nuts which contains, or any other solid sample which contains proteins, in that case crush it, mix with water, make a solution form or liquid form, take only 2 milliliter. So now the sample is ready for testing. Then next step is add diluted sodium hydroxide solution. I told you diluted means which contains some amount of water along with the chemicals. Concentrated means which contains only the chemicals. Here we are using diluted form of sodium hydroxide solution. A little. Just add drop by drop until the solution clears. Then next step is add 2 to 3 drops of copper sulfate solution. So here copper sulfate is the blue color solution. 2 to 3 drops. Just add it. Then shake well. Test tube, you have to shake it well. Then if you are getting this violet color, that is the indication there is protein content in the food. So first you are taking the test tube with the food sample 2 milliliter, adding diluted sodium hydroxide solution. Then you are adding 2 to 3 drops of copper sulfate. Then you are getting violet color formation. If you are getting violet color, you can say proteins are present. If you are not getting this violet color, you can say that food ingredient or the food sample does not contain protein. Now we'll move into the test for fats. This is the last test we are doing today. So for this, you need readily available things at home like brown paper. So take a brown paper, a piece of brown paper, and take any food item which contains fat. So you are taking food item. You can use butter for making the result easier. You can use butter. Take a small piece of butter and keep in one place of this brown paper. So I kept on the center. If you are using any other solid samples, I told you if it is solid sample, you need to crush it. Crush it. Then keep it in one part of this brown paper. Then take this paper to a light source. For example, if you are keeping, this is the paper, you have to keep the light source here and show like this. And look here. Look on the top. You can see greasy patch on the top of the paper where you have rubbed this fatty food sample, greasy, or you can use the word translucent. What is the meaning of translucent? Partially allowing the light transmission through that paper. So it is not allowing complete transmission of light, half or partially, or you can use the word greasy. So greasy appearance or translucent appearance on the part where you have rubbed this fat containing food sample. If that appearance is there, you can just tell like the food contains fat. So by this we are finishing this lesson. So today we have seen the test for carbohydrates, that is test for starch, the test for proteins and test for fats. Bye.